You are listening to the Exitology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show on the number one global talk and news network on the internet, IBGR, International Business Growth Radio. The world of business at your fingertips. I am Jason Wally Waldron, your host today for the Exitology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show. And I have been joined here for the last hour by Patty Lawrence, the founder and lead CFO and consultant at Turbo Execs. And Patty, this is the segment you've been waiting for because we're going to talk about the importance of a couple of different numbers here. And, you know, to contextualize this, we always talk, so a lot of times how Exitology gets business is a wealth manager will actually come into our life and say, hey, my client has a wealth gap. They've got $2 million in their wealth account under management. They need $10 million to live the lifestyle that they want to live, right? We call that the wealth gap. And then we usually reply by saying, well, knowing that usually 80% or more of your personal wealth is trapped in your business, we need to understand what your profit margins look like, and more importantly, how that's going to affect the value of the business. So, Patty, maximizing your business value. There must be so much to talk about, way more than we can get through in the next 11 minutes and 22 seconds, but walk us through some things that you're doing. Give us some case studies and stories, because oftentimes the folks who work with Turbo Execs are realizing an increase of 15% or more in their net cash flow. That's compelling to me, and I'm sure it's compelling to my listeners. How do you even go about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we like to bring a focus to our clients. And because what gets measured gets managed, we all know that, right?
Yeah.
That's key. But which numbers, right? Which ones? Which ones are going to impact our profits and value?
Mm-hmm.
I would say there's a couple of different selection criteria in my mind, because every business is somewhat different.
Okay.
But, selection criteria number one, impact. What's going to give you the biggest bang for your focus buck?
Okay.
Right? What's going to be the biggest impact one for you? Then I'd say the second criteria is alignment. So with your goals, with your mission, your company's vision, because alignment equals velocity, right?
Yep.
So if we're in alignment, we're going to get farther faster. We're going to go farther. We're going to go faster, right? So next one, the third one is DOD. I call it DOD. And that stands for degree of difficulty, right?
Okay.
How easily can we get that number? How easily can we calculate that metric? And how frequently do we need to see it?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Those three things, it's a combination of those three things,
Right.
I think, are going to give you the number or metric that's going to help you zero in on what's going to leverage more profits into your business or cash, right?
Yep.
For the most part, cash profits, it's not always the same, but an increase in one is usually going to lead to the increase in the other one.
Right. And so I understand that Turbo Execs offers a financial and metrics assessment, and I'm assuming that that's sort of what you're talking about here. And I'd be curious to hear, you said choose your number. A few episodes ago, we had a colleague of both of ours on here, Lee Benson, and he says that you need to choose your most important number. And then a few other episodes away, I had a gentleman named Chris Snyder, who founded the Exit Planning Institute, and he claims that your most important number is the transferable value metric. And in fact, I'm basically in agreement with him on that. So, but just because my number is one thing, or I say that the number is one thing and other people say that, how do you walk somebody through choosing their number?
Yeah. So if your most important number is your transferable value, there are probably several numbers or factors that are going to impact that transferable value.
Like
right?
What? Like what?
Revenue.
Okay.
Right? You need to be looking at your revenue. But what areas of revenue? Is it something like revenue per order? Is it average revenue per client? Is it monthly recurring revenue? Is it something like that? Because it's going to be different for everybody's business.
Okay,
So if
yeah.
you pick one of those and look at it, I always say to look at it in arrears first, in the rear view mirror. So look at the trend over the last 12 months. See if that is going to be an indicator of the trajectory that you want. And if it is, guess what? You can make some budgeting around that too.
Okay, yeah.
Because if you put a budget around those, there's an expectation that goes along with a budget number.
Yep.
Expectation is, hey, this is on the path. This is our path to a higher number for your transferable value.
Yeah.
Right. So those are stepping stones along the way. So if we achieve those, guess what? We're probably achieving that transferable value, or at least increasing it.
Totally. Well, and what came to me, because I view things as more of a consultative lens, and so the aha that I just had as you were explaining that is, if I can work with someone, or you can work with someone to help them get clear on where they want to be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and then bring that back to, here's the one number that we need to move in this fashion over the next year. That's the alignment piece that you talked about.
Absolutely. And it has to be in alignment with who they serve, right?
Right.
The customer base that they serve, the company's mission,
Yep.
values, the value system that they have. Everything has to be in alignment, because if you're asking your team to do something that's incongruent with that,
Right.
out of alignment, then guess what? They're not going to be on board. It's called not being on board. Not being in alignment is not being on board, right? And they're not going to be on board with it. They're not going to be helping to take you in that direction.
Right. So talk to us about degree of difficulty. Is this more of a intuitive assessment that you go into? Is this more of a is this an art or a science in your mind when you're going in and looking at that?
Yeah, I love that. So it's part of both.
Yeah.
It's a yes. So it's art and science. So it depends on your level of expertise in-house doing the numbers. It depends on the level of support that your system can provide in the area of what data is available to us. What does it collect? How is it accessible? Do we have to get Power BI involved, or do we have to do some dashboarding? Do we have what are the ways that we can extract this so that it has the most impactful value? And I like to say at a glance. So at a glance, meaning it's got to be easy. And if it's something that you want to look at daily, it's got to be easy to calc, or you have to automate it so it's readily available and at your fingertips without an issue, like clockwork, basically.
Right. And so for folks who don't know what BI stands for, that stands for business intelligence, right?
Yes. That particular platform is a Microsoft product. So I am not endorsing. This is not an endorsement. Right. It's just one of the tools that's out there. There's Tableau. There's all kinds of data visualization programs out there.
Yeah, but what I like about that, though, degree of difficulty, kind of going back to that, right? Some of it comes back into to bring it full circle. It comes back to, hey, Mr. Mrs. Business Owner, how would you like to make this easier, more lucrative, and more fun, right? And it could be as simple as, I want to wake up on Mondays, look at my dashboard, and see a bunch of green lights, which tells me that everything's okay. And so the experience would be amazing, right, to do that. But think of all, if you think of everything we've unpacked here over the last hour, there are so many different pieces that go into that. And I want, as we're wrapping up this hour, we've talked about so many different aspects of what it looks like to tell the story behind the numbers, and really, more importantly, the impact that that can have on the business owners and the business itself. What are some final thoughts? Where would you like to see business, and just where do you see things going over the next 5 to 10 years?
I see a lot more data visualization. So that's a fancy schmancy word for charts and graphs. Charts and graphs. So really, like you were alluding to, is the red, green, yellow lights.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So to see those and to know, hey, if I see all green lights, or green, whatever, green, everything's green. Green is go, man. That is all good, right?
Green
you
is
see some
good.
yellow, you see yellow in there, it needs attention, right? If you see red, it's like stop the presses. Something, the wheels are falling off. We need to get on this ASAP because it's going to cost us, money, customers, whatever the case is. It's going to be a disaster for the business. So, I see a lot more of that, and it's out there already.
Yeah.
But that data visualization is becoming more and more available to small and mid-sized businesses.
Awesome.
Right? And without being a huge investment for them. So how do we outfit companies, small and mid-sized companies, with the tools that they need, and we can bring them down from big company use only.
Right.
We're bringing that down into, small and mid-sized businesses. You have the access to these same tools that are going to, get you the success that you can and you can have and you deserve.
I love that so much, because from a business that would be able to be absorbed by a strategic buyer, you're already ready to fit into that. So, Patty, thank you so much for joining us here today. Folks, if you visit turboexecs.com, there are a number of resources that I would invite you to look at, to study, and frankly, get on the email list. It's an awesome email newsletter. Patty, thank you for being here with us. Folks, you're listening to the Exitology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show on the International Business Growth Radio Network.